Hello there, I'm David Simpson and this is my website England's Northeast at englandsnortheast.co.uk. Today I thought I'd talk about the origin of the term Mackem, which in case you don't know is a term for a native of the city of Sunderland and the surrounding area known as Wearside. Now I think that the origins of this term are much older than is usually imagined. A little bit about the website very quickly before I go any further. The England's North East website covers the whole of the North East of England and the Scottish borders and neighbouring Yorkshire and parts of the Lake District as well. And we have several pages covering the Sunderland area, as you can see here. So please give it a look, take a look at the website and see what you think. So, the term Mackem, how old is it? How far back does it go? Well, if you get a chance, see if you can find a copy at your local library of a publication called The History and Antiquities of the County Palatine of Durham. Now, that, of course, included Sunderland, and this was published in 1857. And the author is William Fordyce, who is a Victorian historian in the north of England. Now, there are around about 150 or so pages in this publication covering Sunderland, and he features quite a bit about the shipbuilding in the town. And he makes some very interesting references to early shipbuilding. Now, he's talking about wooden shipbuilding, and he's referring to shipbuilding. I mean, shipbuilding in Sunderland goes back to the 14th century at least, but he's talking about shipbuilding in the late 18th century and early 19th century. So we're talking about wooden sailing ships. This illustration here, incidentally, is from Rain's Eye Plan of Sunderland, which was published in 1790, and it shows shipbuilders at work at the mouth of the River Wear. The carpenters here you can see constructing the ships, of course, sailing ships at the mouth of the River Wear. This is on the north bank, on the Monk Wearmouth shore area. Now, Fordyce, as I say, referring to this early 19th and late 18th century shipbuilding in Sunderland, says, and he's writing in 1857, remember that, he says the degree of perfection in construction would seem to have been regulated according to price. Hence it came to be derisively said that the Sunderland shipbuilders could either build a ship or make one. Now, what's the difference? Well, it's about quality. That's what it comes down to. So to make a ship, or Mac one, meant that you were getting one at a sort of a bargain basement price. There'd be no guarantee of quality that would knock you one up. So we'll Mac you one, you tack it away. So basically, if people were wanting to purchase a ship cheaply, the Sunderland shipbuilders could make them one. They could also build ships to a higher standard of quality as well. But this is what they seem to have become known for. Now, I think the reason for this is that there was a bit of moonlighting going on, if you like, side hustles. Sunderland shipwrights were making ships in their spare time. In fact, there is a reference to this. Fordyce does mention talking about the 1800s. In fact, in the year 1800, he notes that there was a resourceful Sunderland shipbuilder who actually constructed a ship on the village green at Bishop Wearmouth, and then it was towed away to the river at Southwick and sent out to sea. This is the green at Bishop Wearmouth, where he constructed the ship, is the area near Sunderland Minster of today. So basically, some Wearside shipbuilders were making ships, macking them in their spare time. Now, you can imagine that for rival shipbuilding towns, notably Tyneside, Newcastle and Tyneside, this would have been frowned upon, because the idea that you could just knock one up, like just make a ship, to take it away, would have been sort of maybe seen as laughable in a way, so that it became a sort of a patronising term that the Sunderland shipbuilders, or that was mack you one, or mack you a ship, no guarantee of quality, no guarantee of safety, that kind of thing. And certainly, if you look back at early references to the term Mackem, it seems to have taken the form Mackem and Tackem in early times. Now, if you trawl the internet, you won't find any references earlier than, say, the 1950s, but certainly the term Mackem and Tackem seems to have been well established by then. But I think, looking at this particular little piece of evidence here, there's clearly a reference to Sunderland shipbuilders, a derisory reference, a jibe, if you like. There's clear reference to Sunderland shipbuilders and making ships in at least the 1850s. And of course, Fordyce, writing here in 1857, is actually talking about shipbuilding in an even earlier period, the early 19th and late 18th century. So the term Mackem later became a sort of a badge of honour, that Wearsiders identified themselves as Mackem in the same way as that Tynesiders identified themselves as Geordies. And incidentally, the term Geordie also seems to have originated as a sort of a patronising term for people from Tyneside, originally referring to pitmen, and then it became specifically a reference to Tynesiders and to people of Newcastle in particular. So it's an interesting origin for the term Geordie there as well, which seems to have developed in a similar sort of way. Another thing that's interesting about this book by Fordyce, in his reference to Wearside, is that he makes mention of the different terms for ships from the Tyne and the Wear. And he notes, again, remember, he's writing in 1857, he notes that in a recent periodical, that it's noted that the mariners term a vessel from the Tyne a Geordie, and from the Wear a Jamie. So at sea they could distinguish the one from the other by the different colours on their bows, sides, stems, and so on. So basically you've got a different terminology for the vessels that came from the Tyne and the Wear out at sea. If you want to find out a little bit more about this sort of thing, please visit my website at englandsnortheast.co.uk. As I say, it covers the whole of the wider area, and several pages on Sunderland and the northeast in general. So please give my website a visit if you want to find out more, including a little bit about the Geordie origins as well. Thank you very much.